It's April 2nd and it's 30 freaking degrees out here.
Second winter.
Come on, Mother Nature, are you kidding? Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. I'm not gonna lie, this is a video that I didn't think I was gonna be able to film for a while because I've been having some aches and pains, as you guys know, yada, yada, yada. I haven't really been doing any like tempo or speed workouts. So to test this shoe, which I really wanted to test, I was just like, screw it. I'm gonna give it a shot, see how I feel, and assess while I'm on the workout. Well, I'm happy to report that I felt great during the workout, and I'm also very happy to report that it was in the Asics Metaspeed Sky. I know I'm a little late to this. Every other shoe tuber out there has already put out their video and then some, and also of the Magic Speed, which I do have and will also be reviewing down the line, so stay tuned for that. But every dog has their day, and today is the day that I finally give you my first run impressions of the Asics Metaspeed Sky. Before we get into my thoughts, let's check out how the shoe looks on foot and take a look at some of my footage from my very successful run the other day. Before we get started today, I do want to let you guys know that this shoe was sent to me by Running Warehouse and Asics. However, neither company can tell me what to say. They're not paying me to make this video, and all of my opinions are authentic and my own. So briefly, before we get into my thoughts about the product, I just want to give you a little bit of background. Basically, through testing, Asics came to the conclusion that there are two different types of runners out there, which fall into the categories that they named stride and cadence. Stride runners increase their stride length while they begin to run faster but maintain the same amount of cadence, and Asics says that cadence runners both increase their stride length and their cadence while they begin to run faster. So the Metaspeed Sky is supposed to be meant for those stride runners, and the Metaspeed Edge, which is not yet out, will be meant for those cadence runners. The Asics Metaspeed Sky weighs 5.9 ounces for a women's size 7, and for my size 10.5, it's just under 7 ounces at 6.9. It has a 5mm drop with 31mm of stack in the heel and 26 in the forefoot. And for me, the Asics Metaspeed Sky is true to size. It just makes it, but I'll give it to them here. If you like a little more room, a little bit extra, then you might want to size up a half size. But for me, I think I'd stick with the 10.5. The upper of the Asics Metaspeed Sky is an engineered mesh. This is 100% recycled polyester. Asics has been making an effort to be more eco-friendly with their uppers, and they say that a couple years down the road, they want to be 100% recycled material across the board. The midfoot of the shoe really doesn't have any overlays at all. And if we go to the back of the shoe, the heel is somewhat sturdy, but it is definitely a bit bendable. The very first thing that I noticed right when I started running in this shoe is how breathable this upper is. Like I said in the intro to this video, it was 30 degrees on April 2nd, ridiculous, but I digress, and it was kind of windy, and I felt all that wind passing through this upper. And while it might not be so great on a 30-degree day, I do think it is going to be good if you are taking this marathon distance and just need a little extra breathability, or if you're just running in a warmer climate, which hopefully we'll start seeing here in New York anytime soon. As far as the width of the toe box goes, I do feel like I have a substantial amount here in the forefoot. My toes didn't feel like squished in there. But one thing that I will say, and that I kind of touched on already, is that this shoe just makes it to true to size for me. And my toes were a little bit sore. Again, I haven't really been going like higher speeds lately, so that could also be part of it. And I think it might just have to do with the fact that maybe they were touching this like toe guard on the shoe a little bit. It really wasn't terrible. I barely felt it. I had remarked about it to Kate, but that was kind of it. The laces are those same laces that we saw in the Meta Racer, or so it seems. I don't really love them, but I didn't have an issue with them staying tied, and they kind of stayed in place and locked down my midfoot fairly well. So can't really complain too much. The tongue is a super thin piece of fabric. It's not gusseted, although I didn't have issues with it sliding around. And the heel collar area does have some padding, but it is minimal. So I like this upper. I think that the material is comfortable, but I did feel a little bit like my foot was kind of like sliding around the platform a bit, which is a reason why I definitely wouldn't go a half size up, because I think it would just make the problem even worse. Certainly not a deal breaker, and if you're just running in a straight line, it's no problem, but I did kind of notice it on turns. Overall, I have no real issues with the upper, and I do love that it's 100% recycled polyester, and I think that other brands need to get on this train too. All right, now the moment you've all been waiting for, the midsole. Asics is using Flight Foam Blast Turbo in the Metaspeed Sky. Flight Foam Blast Turbo is a nylon-based foam, which is basically a Pebax or Peba-based foam. That's just another name for it. And we're also rocking a full-length carbon plate here as well. Asics is also using a curved sole design here, and they say that that helps to reduce ankle flexion and conserves more energy for the runner so they can run further with less effort. Right off the bat, I'll tell you that on my run, this shoe felt really smooth and like it was working nicely with my foot stride. Stride. Maybe I don't need the cadence shoe. It feels similar to a Next Percent, although I would say it's much more stable. I am still overpronating in the shoe, of course. I do in every carbon plated shoe like this. But again, more stable, a little bit firmer for sure. And I would say it's not quite as jarring of a propulsion forward with that carbon plate. I think it's more subtle than that. For my run, I did 1 warm-up mile, then I did 4 1-mile repeats, negative splitting. So each mile got faster, and then a half a mile-ish cool down. This shoe felt super awkward during the warm-up. I mean, obviously it's not meant for that. It's meant to go faster, so that would make sense. And I would also say that this shoe felt better the faster that I went. The first mile repeat, me and the Metaspeed Sky kind of had to like feel each other out a little bit, see what we were all about. And then as the run progressed, we kind of got into a rhythm. And at one point, which I think was maybe my second fastest mile, I was like, wow, I feel really like in tune with the shoe. And I feel like I'm kind of cruising here. Like I have it on cruise control, which is not something I thought I was gonna feel, especially after taking so many days off from going fast. Another great thing about this shoe is that I had absolutely no problems with my knees and no PF problems during the run at all. And those are two things that a carbon plated shoe could definitely aggravate. And I think if I had picked like a different carbon plated shoe to run in on that day, like yeah, I might have had problems with my PF especially, but I didn't have any issues, not a single little twitch of pain. And I think that has to do with how subtle the carbon plate is in this shoe. One thing I will say about this shoe though, it is slappy. It was very loud going at slower paces during the warm up and cool down. And I could even hear this shoe while I was doing my mile repeats through my headphones, which were playing music very loud. Bust it, bust it, bust it. I think out of all the carbon plated shoes that I've tried, this one would certainly rank high up on the list as one of my favorites. I know I only have one run in it so far, but I just think it felt nice with my foot stride and we got along well. I don't know if I could run a marathon in this shoe. I think it still would be a little unstable for me because of my overpronation, but I don't think I'd have any issues using it for a half marathon, and I may consider doing that. If I had to compare the Metaspeed Sky to some other super shoes, I'd say it's softer than the Hyperion Elite 2. It's firmer than the Next Percent and has a bit more protection than an RC Elite. Moving on to the outsole, Asics is using their AsicsGrip material here. It pretty much covers the forefoot, as you can see, and it dips into the midfoot of the lateral side of the shoe. And then we have a little on the medial side as well in the heel. We ran on mostly pavement, concrete, but there were some paths that had a bunch of leaves and maybe some dirt here and there, and I really felt like this gripped on well. It had that sticky, tacky kind of feeling, which I love from an outsole. I don't think that this is gonna have any issues with durability. Definitely nothing that I'm seeing after one run. One thing we will have to keep an eye on though is how this exposed foam holds up over time. Just gonna have to see with more testing, but overall, yeah, thumbs up for the outsole. The Asics Metaspeed Sky will be releasing this month, and it is $249.95 on runningwarehouse.com. Truthfully, I think that it could be priced at $200 and then we'd have a total winner here. But I mean, pretty much every super shoe is either $200, $250, so I'm not totally shocked. Though I think it would be just an absolute steal for $50 less. But would the $50 deter me from buying it? No. If you're interested in pre-ordering a pair of the Metaspeed Sky, you can do so at the links in the description below. Keep in mind, they are affiliate links with Running Warehouse. However, that doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can keep making these videos and kind of give you the intel on what these shoes feel like compared to some of the other super shoes on the market. To me, the Meta Racer, which was their first attempt at a carbon-plated shoe, was a good way to see a carbon-plated shoe differently without all the max cushioning. But I think in order to really compete with those other big dogs out there, you gotta kind of stack up on the midsole. And they did that here, and this feels awesome. It really does. Asics did not come to play, and I think a lot of people are gonna fall in love with the Metaspeed Sky. Well guys, that concludes my first run impressions of the Asics Metaspeed Sky. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. Buzz it, buzz it, buzz it. I have some more videos for you guys next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like hell. See you next time. Meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like... Oh, I just burped. Let's try that again.